Hello, Dr. Kiran here, and today I present before you a very important topic. How early must parents push their young toddlers, children into extreme sports like weightlifting, like boxing, these kind of sports? Peril or a danger is always lurking in these sports, irrespective of the age group or the weight category. Great films have been made on boxing and the traumatic brain injury that can occur during boxing. Even weightlifting. It's not that everybody will have an injury, but how early can we push our children into these fields is a matter of real concern. This is my concern too. It should be yours too. After all, which parent will I not be happy if my child wins an award? Will I not be happy to see my child grow into the international arena, earning medals and cups and accolades and building a career for themselves all around the world? Yeah, but something happens due to the reason that we push them very early in their life. Here are the examples which I didn't like recently, and I'm going to show you one by one. One is it may be, I don't know, somebody said that it is staged. Still, it is not a good precedence of two toddlers they're hardly able to stand. See, they just like they're standing with two legs apart. Means they don't have even balance, but they have gloves and they're boxing each other with no headgear, nothing. See, we know boxing, real boxers don't use headgears, agreed, but still they are infants, maybe around 1 year or 1 year, 1 month, 1 year, 2 months. Is this needed? Okay, I saw many kinds of personnel around them. It's not from India, this picture, it's from abroad. But I still say, okay, we have to get the bird early, agreed. But without the protective gear is maybe dangerous because the baby's impact point may not be so much with force, but something happens, the baby slips and falls, they may sustain an intracerebral bleed or any fracture. We never know. The muscle tears. I know a child's bones and muscles are much elastic compared to the adults, but still everything is possible, and this is my concern, that don't push your children early to what is really acceptable, because the international Olympic committee and other committees say they say at least 14 years or after adolescence only they allow as a junior as a sub-junior into the weight categories of extreme sports. And literature says that weight training is in fact very, very useful to the children when it is kept like 2 to 3 times their body weight. Now I'm going to show you one child. This child is from India and she has already made a name for herself at 4 years with many medals all around her. See, I'm going to show you. So it's very interesting. I also clapped and felt very glad for the parents. But then something behind in my brain, it just pointed out, if at 4 years, if this baby of just 4 years has earned award for lifting 30 kgs of deadlift, is it not too early? 30 kgs of weight being lifted by a 4 years old child. It is not too early. So when did she really start training? Don't tell me from day one she went to a professional gym, and this must have started at around 2.5 years, at 1.5 years ago. Meaning the child was only 2.5 years of age when she was first acquainted with that atmosphere of weightlifting. Is it not too early? Just be aware of what wrong could have happened. Yeah, it is supervised, everything I agree. But once the parents decide they want to do something like this, is it enjoying the accolades for themselves or for the child? Child cannot say yes or no. Child can never say. They don't have the mental maturity, not the physical balance or the coordination as proved in the literature till 7 to 8 years, they don't have the full coordination, muscle, bone power, the bone densities, the joint capacities to withstand all that is required for weight training. And you are exposing the child to 30 kgs deadlift. So I sense something is wrong, because once the parents decide, they first send the child to a local community in a colony, or a gym where the trainers will be there who will be pushing. Definitely, if parents are they themselves pushing the child, trainers will push. It's all about a game of money also, frankly speaking. So for them, trainers, and fame for the trainer. What about the child? Child safety, epiphyseal growth plates. The primary ossification centers are formed while in the uterus, womb of the mother. Once the child baby comes out, secondary ossification centers appear, which makes it very dangerous. The bone is only a model. The full bone has not yet been formed. So where is the hurry? This is my point. Where is the hurry? Where is the hurry? Something goes wrong, they will repent for life. Second is this child. And third, I'm going to show you two videos of what could go wrong in extreme sports. There is a Mexican and there is a Brazilian. They both are sparring and boxing, and the bigger one, giant, is mocking and almost using his body weight to crush the Brazilian. And what happened was, finally he was knocked out and he fell like a log straight down. You can see it. This is the kind of sports we are exposing our children. Now second, it's a very tragic and a very important story. It may be a little long. Better watch it. There were two contenders in a boxing bout. They were both down to I will win, and one man got real knockout, and he went into a traumatic brain injury. For 30 years, the person who caused this traumatic brain injury was very, very sad, very, very depressed, and very so apologetic. He conducted a press meet after 30 years, and in which in the audience, the victim was also there who recovered. They forgave each other, and they just said, "Let love win," something like that, and never mind. And they both hugged and shook hands. Later, in another bout, their own sons, both of them, sparred, and again, the person who caused the traumatic brain injury, his son, again was overpowering the person who was young man who was the son of the victim 30 years ago. At which point, the 30 years ago, the person who caused this TBI steps into the ring and says, "Please don't hit the face, hit the body. Is it really required? Is it really required? If the referee is not doing it, you can do it, don't do it." Then they go again 2 rounds, and then finally he is given the winner. So this means this is the extreme to what these sports can push a person into, competitiveness. We should always be very careful, and at the right time we should allow it. This is my point. Because, like, I'm going to repeat again, all extreme sports, whatever the sports, there's various arguments. They'll say golf or any other sports, rotatory, baseball, they all can cause epiphyseal separations. Why only weight training? Let's not argue like that. Let's wait for the children to be of a reasonable age, then introduce them. For the whims and fancies of parents, let's not push our children into extreme sports. This is the concluding remark. We are celebrating. We have never taken the child's age patterns, their inherent, we never know genetic patterns. We don't know what is happening. And just exposing them to extreme sports by pushing them. Maybe one day, maybe we lose the children. So don't do it. Wait and then push them. That's it. We have to, as parents, we have to push our children into positive sports so that they win and we all celebrate along with them. But a mindless pushing of a child into extreme sports when the body is not prepared is a crime. I will call it as child abuse. Thank you.
It's a moment that speaks volumes. Chris Eubank, one of boxing's most flamboyant and fearless fighters, brought to tears, confronting a painful reality that haunted him for 3 decades. Eubank was on top of the world, a British 21st 1991. Under those very lights, something went tragically wrong. Their first clash was a brutal, evenly matched contest, with both fighters pushing their limits. Eubank narrowly edged out Watson in a controversial decision, leaving a bitter taste in the mouths of many fans. But it was their rematch, just 3 months later, that would go down in history, not just for the fight, but for the devastating aftermath. The atmosphere in White Hart Lane was electric. This time, it wasn't just about skill. It was about pride, redemption, and proving who was the better man. From the opening bell, it was clear that both fighters had come with a point to prove. Watson pressed forward relentlessly, showing a level of aggression that Eubank hadn't seen before. The fight was a war of attrition, each round more punishing than the last, with Watson gradually gaining the upper hand. By the 11th round, Watson was in control, landing clean shots and putting Eubank on the defensive. Then, in the dying moments of the round, Watson connected with a combination that sent Eubank crashing to the canvas. It was the first knockdown of Eubank's career, and it seemed like the end was near. But as Watson moved in for the finish, Eubank, summoning all his strength, unleashed a desperate uppercut that caught Watson flush. The punch was brutal, snapping Watson's head back. Watson staggered, dazed, but somehow made it to his feet to start the 12th round. What followed was a harrowing scene. Eubank, fueled by adrenaline and desperation, launched an onslaught that left Watson helpless in the corner, forcing the referee to step in. As Eubank celebrated his improbable victory, Watson collapsed in his corner, his legs giving way beneath him. The severity of the situation quickly became apparent. Watson's condition deteriorated rapidly as he had suffered a severe brain injury, but the real tragedy was the failure of the emergency response. No paramedics, no immediate medical attention. By the time Watson reached a hospital, critical minutes had been lost. He underwent multiple surgeries to remove a blood clot from his brain, but was left with life-altering damage, paralysis, and a long, agonizing road to partial recovery. For Eubank, the victory came at a price that no championship belt could ever outweigh. He was devastated, carrying the weight of guilt for what had happened. Boxing was never the same for him. The killer instinct that had defined his career seemed to vanish. Watson, however, against all odds, fought back in the years that followed. It was a slow and painful journey, marked by small victories. The echoes of that tragic night in 1991 reverberated years later when Eubank's son, Chris Eubank Jr., faced Nick Blackwell in the ring. Blackwell was a tough, relentless fighter, willing to endure any punishment to achieve victory. As Eubank Jr. landed punishing uppercuts, Chris Eubank Sr., watching ringside, was taken back to the fight with Watson. He saw the danger and remembered the consequences.
He's blocking a lot of these, but he needs to fight back.
And you keep on beating him like this. One, he's getting hurt. Two, if it goes to a decision, why hasn't the referee stopped the fight? So maybe you shouldn't leave it to the referee. But you're not going to take him out to the face, you're going to take him out to the body. Okay?
Looking at the damage Blackwell incurred, Eubank Sr. urged his son to target the body instead of the head, desperate to avoid a repeat of the past. The fight was eventually stopped on medical grounds, with Blackwell suffering severe injuries. He was rushed to the hospital, where he was placed in coma for a week. Thankfully, Blackwell survived. The doctors managed to stop the bleeding in his skull.